Good morning, everyone. Recently America killed Soleimani, the head of the Iranian Guard, and it reminded me of after the attack on 9/11, when America killed bin Laden. So someone once said at that time that our job is not to judge the terrorists. That's God's job, to judge the terrorists. Our job is just to arrange the meeting between them and God. And Israel was the first one to start doing targeted attacks. But the truth is, the first targeted attacks against the evil, wicked dictator is in this week's parsha. The 10 plagues begin. And God starts to send one attack after another on Paro to try to get him to change his stubborn heart and let the Jews go free. And in this week's parsha, we have the first 7 of the 10 plagues. Now, the last one in this week's parsha is very unique. It's called Barad, hail. And we find a description by hail that we don't find by the other 6 preceding it, or the other 3 afterwards. God says, I'm going to send all of my plagues, as kol megeifotai, all of my plagues upon Egypt with this 7th plague. And then we find that the only time that Paro comes running and says, Hashem HaTzadik, God is the righteous one, Vani va'ami ha'reshoim, and me and my people are wicked, is after the 7th plague. What was so unique about the 7th plague that God describes it as all of my plagues? And also, why did that elicit from Paro an admission that God is the righteous one and me and my nation are the wicked ones? So we find something very interesting about the plague of hail. Barad is hail. It wasn't a normal hail like we know of hail today. The Torah says in the Pasuk, Ve'esh mislakachat betoch habarad. There was fire inside the ice. So each piece of hail had fire inside the ice. Now we know God doesn't perform miracles without a reason. If the point is to punish the Egyptians with hail, why put ice with fire inside the ice? Why not regular hail? So Rashi gives his answer that God was sending a message to Paro that look, fire and liquid, ice, are opposites. They usually extinguish one another. But the fire and the ice will work together in partnership to perform my will and punish you. So if you see that in nature, water and fire, which are opposites, work in tandem to fulfill my will, you must realize that everything in this world must obey my orders. That's Rashi's answer. But the Rabbi gives another answer. There's something called narcissism. What's narcissism? Narcissism, a person who's totally obsessed with themselves. The story, this guy was on a date, and he's talking 3 hours straight about himself. The girl can't get in one word edgewise. Finally he says, I'm so embarrassed. I've been talking about myself for 3 hours straight. Why don't I let you talk? Tell me, what do you think about me? That's a narcissist, right? They say, how do you drown a narcissist? You put a mirror on the bottom of the swimming pool. That's the way you drown a narcissist. So what is the cause of narcissism? Paro is the ultimate narcissist. He doesn't care about the Jewish babies. He drowns them. He doesn't care about the suffering of the Egyptians. He doesn't care about the suffering of the Jews. Like all evil dictators, whether it's past, present, or future, they only care about themselves. Where does this come from? So he says like this, the Rebbe says, when a person is cold and indifferent to the plight of others on the outside, they're like ice on the outside towards others, it's because within them, they have so much fire and love and passion for themselves. When you're so self-absorbed and in love with yourself, you have so much fire and love for yourself, that you become cold and indifferent to others around you. And therefore, God sends them fire and ice to say, Paro, you're too in love with yourself and too indifferent to the plight of the Jews. There's a story told about Rabbi Yisrael Salanter, 19th century great rabbi. There was once traveling and he came to a certain inn. And he was spending Shabbos in this inn. Came Friday night, they davened, they sat down for the Shabbos meal. Now normally, as you can imagine, Rabbi Yisrael Salanter, when he had a Shabbos deal, he made a long Shalom Aleichem, a long Eshes Chayil, a nice long Kiddush, Divrei Torah, songs, Zemiros. The meal went on for hours. Yisrael Salanter came into the dinner quick shalom aleichem, quick yeshus chag, quick kiddush, first course, second course, third course, benching. He's out of there in no time. No zmiros, no davening, no dvar Torahs. So they asked him, what happened? Why this quick rush? And he said, because I met the cook and the woman cook in the kitchen of the inn. She's an almana, she's a widow, and she has children at home. But to make a living, she cooks in this inn. And until we finish our meal, she can't go home to her children. So I did a quick meal so she could finish up here and go back to be with her children for Shabbos. That's called compassion. That's called rachmanis. That's called sensitivity towards others. And that's why Hashem punished Paro to teach us all, for all future generations, that a person should be not only absorbed with themselves, but more concerned about the plight of others.